So imagine having your career destroyed, your life turned upside down, all because of your appearance. My next guest has been making headlines around the world because that's exactly what happened to her, and she may not be the only one. Take a look.
Many consider good looks to be an asset in the job market. But 33-year-old single mother Deborah Lorenzana says her branch managers at Citibank in New York fired her because her curvaceous figure was disruptive to bank employees. Citibank denied the charge. She's not the only one making these kind of claims. 29-year-old New Jersey resident Lauren Otis claims her employer, Native Intimates, a wholesale lingerie company, told her she dressed too sexy.
It was a safety issue because the men at the company would not be able to resist her.
And now another case, this time in Iowa, is raising eyebrows. Dentist James Knight admitted the reason he fired his dental assistant of 10 years was because she was too attractive. Dr. Knight claimed that working beside 32-year-old married mother of two, Melissa Nelson, was jeopardizing his marriage. When Melissa took him to the Iowa Supreme Court, they voted unanimously in favor of Dr. Knight on the grounds of, quote, irresistible attraction. The decision not only left Melissa stunned, but also some women across America wondering, could I be next?
Well, Melissa is here now. Also joining us is her attorney and former federal prosecutor, Sonny Hostin. I appreciate you both being here. Thanks so much. So what was your relationship like with your boss?
It was just like a normal professional relationship.
You'd worked together for 10 years.
Yes, we worked together for 10 years. When I started working for him, I had just gotten married.
Take me back to the moment he calls you into the office, and what happens?
He called me in, and a man was sitting in his office with him, which come to find out was his pastor. And he reads off this piece of paper telling me that I am no longer employed or welcome in his office.
And what did he say the reason was?
I was affecting his home life, and that he wasn't able to concentrate on raising his family and his wife.
Because he found you attractive?
Because he was becoming attracted to me.
Was this out of the blue? Because there had been some weird texts going on between the two of you.
There was a few weird text messages, and I just kind of let him lie. I'm like, okay, yeah, what do you do? You know, he is my boss.
But when you say weird, they were pretty
inappropriate.
I got a couple of the texts. I'm just going to read this is a text allegedly made by James Knight. His one text was, I guess it's a good thing you don't wear tight pants too, because then I would get it coming and going. So
see the reaction?
So when you got that, what did you think?
There's no words, because it's like, it's not okay, but then I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
This was like toward the end?
This is towards the end, yes.
Okay, he also wrote, allegedly, that's like having a Lamborghini in the garage and never driving it. What was he talking about?
My sex life.
He was talking about your sex life.
Mm-hmm.
So had you had conversations with him? I mean, was there flirting going on?
No, I never answered any personal questions that were asked to me. That is my business. It's nobody else's business.
Legally, how can someone be fired because their boss is attracted to them?
It just shouldn't happen. Women are protected from sexual harassment. They're protected from gender discrimination. And the number one question under the law in gender discrimination is, would you have been treated differently if you were a man? If she were a man, would she still have her job? Yes, yes. And that is the question. The court just sort of ignored that and said, well, it's not really about the fact that she's a woman. It's about the fact that his marriage was somehow threatened, and it's just absurd. And I think what's important to note is that there are 7 judges, all of them are men.
When he said this to you, that you were being let go, what did you feel?
I didn't understand the whole affair issue, because I would never have an affair with him. There was no doubt in my mind that would ever.
You said he was like a father figure.
He was like a father figure.
A lot older.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I'm really interested because, Anderson, one of the things the dentist says is that you wore these really provocative outfits that were inappropriate. Can you
yeah, well, let me read his statement about that, because he says, this is the statement from James Knight's attorney. He says, Dr. Knight fired Mrs. Nelson only after he made numerous attempts to get Mrs. Nelson to wear appropriate clothing at work. Mrs. Nelson's attempt to villainize Dr. Knight is now all that remains. Favoring the wishes of a family member like a spouse to the detriment of an employee has been universally accepted in the law as a non-discriminatory reason to discharge an employee. So what was it that you were wearing at work?
A t-shirt
Wow, okay. And what is, Sonny, this idea that because of favoring the wishes of a family member like a spouse, the detriment of employee has been universally accepted in law as non-discriminatory. What does that mean?
I've just never heard of it, actually. It's so absurd, and it's even more absurd now that I see what she was wearing. The standard, Anderson, is when you're an employee at will, which means if you don't have an employment contract, you can be fired for no reason or any reason at all, as long as it's not a discriminatory reason. That's the law. Now, the only question before this court, in my view, is, was she discriminated against on the basis of her gender? And because, in my view, the answer is, of course, because had she been a guy, she would still have her job. That is just textbook, classic gender discrimination. I mean, it's just so clear in my mind. And I have to wonder, is it because there were 7 men on the bench? Is that why? And that leads me to believe that that is why we need diversity on our benches. That's why we need women. We need people that are economically different. We need sexual orientation. We need diversity of race, because judges need to be real people that are affected by the same issues, the case with the people that are involved in the cases before them. And that just didn't happen.
Melissa's attorney, Paige Fiedler, is here. Will you stand up? So you worry that this sets a precedent that other people could be fired and the boss could say, well, I find you're a threat to my marriage.
Right, or I felt uncomfortable because you have some disability. So it's not because you have a disability, it's because of my feelings that I'm firing you.
What happens to the case now?
Well, we've asked the Supreme Court to reconsider its decision, and we're also looking at possibly some different legislation in Iowa to make sure that this doesn't happen to anybody else.
Well, thanks. I appreciate you being here.
You haven't been able to find another job as a dental assistant yet.
I don't really want another job as a dental assistant.
After this experience?
No.
Imagine that. I mean, she's lost her profession because of this. Our laws are supposed to protect people against that happening.
Well, listen, we wish you the best. We're going to continue to follow it. I really appreciate you coming on and talking about it. Thank you so much.